I came out from the UK, Oxford, in 1965.
Well, we were married in 1969 and our first daughter, Shelley, was born in 1971. And then Gabby came along in 1972. 15 years ago, we were preparing to celebrate our youngest daughter's wedding. Shelley had arrived just 2 weeks before the wedding to be fitted for her bridesmaid's dress.
You know, Gabby was just so thrilled to the fact that almost all my family from the UK came over. Especially Mum, and Mum was 80, wasn't in the best of health.
It was our first celebration of a wedding, and so that made it even more special. The night before the wedding, we all gathered together at the Chinese restaurant in Port Noarlunga.
We had a great night there of feasting and listening to the music. Gabby got up and had a dance with her gran. Yeah, it was an enjoyable night until we got a message that something had happened down the road.
Because we had to set up the hall next door for the wedding reception, Shelley opted to take Gran and her uncle home.
But not long after they'd left, we heard lots of sirens.
Then my nephew burst through the door.
He came specifically to me and he said, "I think you should come down. There's been an accident down on the bridge and I think it's pretty serious."
Gabby and I looked at each other and we followed them down there. And on the way there, Gabby was saying, "But Mum, it's my wedding tomorrow." And I said, "Darling, it doesn't matter what we find, it's still your wedding tomorrow, okay?" When we rounded the corner, there were a lot of people there. I didn't even think about the driver of the other car. My only focus was on my daughter and the mess the car was in. There wasn't a lot left of it, really.
I immediately went to the driver's door.
Shelley was still in the car and they were trying to revive her.
We had no idea what the condition of Mum was, or Shelley at that stage, although, I mean, I didn't think of what it might have been, whether she was just unconscious or what. I mean, I didn't think of it, that she might be dead.
I was aware that because Shelley was a very private person, they had cut her clothes away, and I was very concerned about her dignity and how she would feel about that. It occurred to me that the only thing I could do at that time was pray. And the only prayer that I suppose one can fall back at a time like that is the Lord's Prayer. And I got as far as "Thy will be done," and I realised that that was the right prayer. Not my will, but Thy will.
They took her out of the car and sent her off to the hospital, and I went off in front because I wanted to see how Mum was. You know, I had no idea of how Mum was. Mum actually died at the scene. We were taken into a separate waiting room where the doctors came in and actually told us that Shelley had died as well.
We didn't really realise, I don't think, that they had died.
It's hard to explain because you know, being in that position, you don't know whether to scream or what, or just, you know, collapse in a heap or what, you know.
And it seemed like we were there for a very long time. But I think that while we were in there, they were washing them, tidying them, and making them look as nice as possible in preparation for when we came to view them.
We were told that he just screamed down the road. There was just no chance for Shelley to get out of the way. It was just a head-on collision.
The driver was in his late 20s and he had a blood alcohol of 0.2. 2.5. So he was well over the limit, and of course he had been smoking marijuana. Apparently he'd had some breakup of a relationship and was in an angry mood that evening. I don't necessarily think it was Trevor's mother's or our daughter's time to die. I think it was a matter of choice, that this young man made a choice. It was a bad choice, and my daughter got in his way. I have here a little silver pendant that my mother received in 1914, and Shelley really loved this, and it always went missing from my jewellery box. So on her 21st birthday, along with the other things she kept stealing from my jewellery box, we gave it to her. After the accident, we were given her bits of jewellery that she was wearing, and this wasn't among the things that we were given. However, the next day when we went down to the scene of the accident, we found it in the dirt and on the side of the road, and that was really great. It gave us a bit of a boost. It was a difficult day with the wedding ahead of us, and to receive that was great.
We gave no thought to cancelling the wedding, simply because of the family being over from the UK.
We made as many phone calls as we could to people, the wedding guests, to let them know what had happened. We didn't want them to arrive not being aware of the situation.
Everybody was just there to make sure that the day was special.
I think we were numb, actually. There was a numbness.
One thing that has always bothered me and still does to this day is the fact that I didn't grieve for Mum. Mum and I were very close.
Just when you think you're having a really good day, something silly like seeing a mother with two small children will suddenly just spark a memory, and you're right back there, and it feels as raw as it did 15 years ago. So I really don't expect it to go away. It certainly is easier, and I don't feel like that as often as I used to, but you don't forget a child.
Up there I have Shelley's headdress from her, she would have worn at the wedding, and also her bouquet. Gabby's matron of honour carried them, as well as her own flowers. And sometimes when I come home into the shed to do some work, I often put on music, and quite often it's Shelley's tapes that I have here of recordings of her and her friends. You know, I love to put them on and sing along with them, and yeah, it's a bit of a connection again, I suppose.